On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791 from the Buck and Honey's remote studios, we spotlight the 4th annual Broken to Brave event sponsored by Wanakee Project Brave, led by event organizer Kerri Kane. This free event on Sunday, February 16th is a space where stories, bravery, hope, and resilience come to life through inspiring speakers and moving musical performances. Broken Brave encourages a community of support, breaking the stigma around mental health and substance abuse. Stay with us as we explore the impact of this inspiring event. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up? Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the north side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. We're out in the burbs today. You can follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube at Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, the big X, at TDecora 8791, as well as hitting me up on Facebook at Tim Decora. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you like what you heard. If there's a topic or you know a guest who would love to tell their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us today. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, and think, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday and Thursday morning featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects such as grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, divorce, success despite challenges, etc., etc. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. We're going to go through our little intro here shortly, but as the listeners know, I do like to share some stuff from the internet. According to the internet, and the internet is always right. Correct, Kerri?
Oh, absolutely 100%.
Absolutely 100%. There are almost 30,000 mental health organizations in the United States alone. Combined, these organizations employ over 800,000 people and bring in significant money to help with mental health and stigma reducing programs and events to shine light on those that struggle and don't have a voice. You, Kerri, are providing that voice with Wanakee Project Brave. What is Wanakee Project Brave similar to in terms of the mental health organizations? NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, out of Dane County, United Way of Dane County, and Gilda's Club. Those are clubs in the area, Madison area, that do some of the same work you do. Today, I welcome Kerri Kane to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Raised in Madison, Wisconsin, Kerri has had service to her community as her heart and soul. She started out in the nursing program, a little nursing background, but decided that the business world was her niche. Kerri Kane, has been a residential real estate broker in South Central Wisconsin for Realty Executives Cooper Spransey for the last 10 years. When not pouring her heart into her day job, she is the heart of Wanakee Project Brave, or WPB, as you might hear me say. I'm so glad you could join us today. Kerri Kane, what is up?
I am so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I feel so honored, Tim. I think you're amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. Comments coming directly from the peanut gallery today. How were the holidays?
Holiday was very good to us this year. Too many things to actually talk about, but the number one thing is we are grandparents. My husband and I became grandparents in 2024. And so this past Christmas was so much fun having a grandbaby.
I am a 2-time grandpa, soon to be 3-time grandpa. And I would have to agree with you that having grandkids reminds us of our own little babies that we had. It also reminds me that at times I can give the grandchild back to the owner and then get up and go. But our oldest is almost 2 years old, so he is mobile, and wait until yours. Or are they mobile?
Not yet.
Not yet.
She's 6 months.
Okay, our little 6-month-old is starting to crawl, granddaughter.
That is amazing. I'm going to have to call you because I know I'm going to have questions.
Well, you got to get this nice, beautiful house here baby-proofed, so we got to make sure we do that.
Yes, you are correct.
All right, so the holidays were good. Santa Claus was good to you and your husband and the kids?
Yes,
Your own
and
kids?
another significant thing too, my husband retired.
Oh,
so
yes,
that was
that's
a
right.
nice present for us, our family, and it's been really good.
How did you spend your time in the deep freeze? Last week was really cold. It's about a 50, or I would say it's about 100-degree swing with the air temperature and the wind chill. I think it was close to 30 or 40 below, and today I think it's close to 50.
Yeah, we hung out at home a lot, watched movies. Have you heard of Yellowstone, by the way, the series on Netflix?
Yes, I've been immersed in that. Not as much as probably the average Joe, but pretty close.
I am not a TV watcher, and we watched that. We binged, I'm not going to lie, probably in 4 or 5 days, watched almost half of it.
Really? Mm-hmm. I think I've done 2 episodes at the most, but I can say the same thing for Breaking Bad, that during COVID, I binge watched the whole thing, I think in less than a month. Yeah, I'd start watching at 8 o'clock, and next thing I know, boy, it's 2:30 in the morning. I should probably go to sleep. All right, you've been prepping for WPB, Wanakee Project Brave, pretty intensely for the last couple of months. I realize that this is probably a year-round endeavor for you now, but it probably really ramps up here in January. I want you to just kind of touch on that because we're going to talk a lot more about that in segment 2. But yeah, give the crowd here, the listeners, a little bit of what you've been doing the last month.
Yeah, I mean, typically we try to get through the holidays, and once that happens at the beginning of the year, we start prepping for our annual Broken a Brave event, and that's a once a year, of course. This year, actually, I know we're not going to go deep into it, but the whole event is based on music, resources, and having several community members that will share their brave story.
I think I know somebody who did that.
I know.
We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. February 16th.
Correct.
And we'll give the listeners the web pages and other information about time and place and when and who should come. But yeah, we'll get to that. I'm looking forward to that. Before we do, we got to talk about the sponsor, somebody you know, which is kind of cool. But our sponsor, Buck and Honey's Restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner or supper with their great food, drink menu, and 5-star customer service, and a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere. People keep coming back with locations in Sun Prairie, Monona, Wanakee, and Mount Horeb. Most communities in the Dane County area can get to Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. This is where I do a little drum roll. Have you been to Buck and Honey's?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
First Buck and Honey's on Sun Prairie. I was there from the beginning.
Soft opening.
Yes, I was there. Soft opening.
I did the soft opening in Monona. I thought that was really cool of Tommy to ask us to come out, and the food was excellent. Your favorite food is? Go ahead.
Veggie centricity.
Veggie centricity. I'm not going to ask you to say that 5 times or spell it. Go ahead and tell me what's in that.
Just like the title, veggies, it's all vegetables. They're known for their Brussels sprouts, cauliflower. It's a mashed cauliflower. And then it also has like a cornbread in there. It's so good. And if I have leftovers, my husband immediately, he wants to eat them. So I'm like, I try to eat as much as I can before I get it home now.
I might ask for some salmon or some chicken to be sprinkled in there because I got to have my protein. No, that sounds good. And I talked to you and told you off air that my favorite is the Bomber Special, which I've been eating for, I would say, close to 40 years, since 1985. It's, I believe, the same recipe that Tommy uses that he borrowed or stole from his dad, and it's still the same great tasting pizza. Bomber's Special, and Bomber was Tommy's dad. That was his nickname, Bomber
That's
Special.
amazing.
Yes. All right, on the podcast, our guests follow the recovery format for sharing their story. And albeit it's not really a story because we're going to be talking about Wanakee Project Brave and their event that they're having. And that the format we use is what was it like, what happened, and what is it like now. We will cover what was it like, sort of, what happened pretty much in segment 1. And then in segment 2, what is it like now? And then your suggestions for thriving and then maybe even starting your own organization, your own mental health stigma reducing organization and somebody calls up, hey, I want to do something similar to you in my community. How do I do that? I know who I'm going to tell them to call. Kerri Kane. You'll be able to share some of that. All right, segment 1. What was it like before and what happened? All right, you started Wanakee Project Brave and the Broken to Brave event in 2020. Why?
Well, we had some community members friends of mine that actually lost their children one to suicide and one was drug related. And we wanted to bring light to the community. And the best way that I found to do that was through music. And that's the heart and soul of Wanakee Project Brave.
And I've heard your band before, and as I'm looking into your front living room, I can see that you guys must be doing some jam sessions here to get ready.
We're in full swing for our Broken to Brave that's coming up in February.
Tell the listeners, tell us about how and where the dream started for either Project Brave or the Broken to Brave.
Well, there's a couple of little things. Number one, when we had lost our friend's son, I was asked to speak at a chamber event, and 2 weeks after she had lost her son, Cade Reddington, his mom came up to me and said, Kerri, would you add me to your panel of speakers? The whole talk was on bringing mental health to light in the workplace. And I said, are you sure? Do you really want to do this? And she's like, I do. And it was 2 weeks after. And so to me, that was the bravest thing a mom could do, is speak about that. 2 weeks. I mean, that's remarkable.
It is. I mean, Cade was a former student of mine. I love that kid. He could be friends with just about anybody in the building, Wanakee High School. And his mom was one person I reached out to when I decided to do the podcast because she's got a story. I didn't realize this, but when I was interviewing her on episode 23 or 24, she talked about being an advocate almost immediately for fentanyl education, prevention. She was on the front lines, and that was one of her coping skills, was to start doing and being that advocate for that particular initiative. She didn't wait a year. She didn't wait 2 years. She did it right at the celebration of life, I believe it was, for her to jump on board would you say 2 weeks later?
2 weeks later?
Yeah. I mean, epitome of Project Brave and Broken to Brave. Did something happen in your personal life that led to you creating Wanakee Project Brave and Broken to Brave?
Yeah, I mean, we all have a story. I have a Broken to Brave story. I haven't really gone real public with it yet. It will come out. My family and I, we've gone through struggles. I personally have struggled with depression on occasion, and then also anxiety. And one of my kids in high school had a dark season as well. You know, when you go through something like that, you feel so alone. When you come out on the other side and you can turn around and look back at all of the blessings that were a result to going through it, now you can help other people. That's where the beauty is.
Yeah, that's where I found sharing my story was initially a little bit hard, talking about some tough things that I spent years, almost all my life, suppressing. And it's amazing for me what that did for my mental health and my own struggles with anxiety is I started to tell those things, and people would tell me, you're so brave. It took a lot of courage. After a while, it doesn't. What I've gotten out of it is the ability to share with others my story and then also my coping skills. I get quite a few, just like you're going to share with us today some of the things that may have gone into Wanakee Project Brave, the Broken to Brave event, and some of your other things, but they probably were test-driven with some of that anxiety like you talked about, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, during that season, when one of our kids was struggling, honestly, it's a total blessing that our family, I mean, because when you go through hard times, your family can easily be broken up. There's a lot of blaming that when you're in the thick of it, and now looking back, it's like, wow, that was just part of our story, and we're going to keep moving forward, and that's what family does.
Good. Having people in your corner, and you can't do it alone. You can always start with those family, and you got an awesome family. Besides you, because not a lot of things that I do anymore. I used to try to go it alone, and that's where I ran into some struggles. So besides you, were there other pioneers with you in the beginning of Wanakee Project Brave? And if there were, who were some of them?
Yeah, I would say number one person that's been A part of Project Brave since the beginning is Scott Mooney. He's the owner of Melio's in Wanakee here. During COVID, that was around the same time my twins had left to college. And at that point, we became empty nesters. And I remember calling Scott and I said, Scott, you got to come over here, man, play the drums. I got the music room set up. I'll dabble on the piano. I'll sing a little. I'm not a singer, to be honest with you. I do backup vocals. And it was just the two of us. And it made him happy because he was playing his drums. It was like, that's his thing, right? To release anxiety or whatever. That's one of his things that he does. And for me, I love being with people. Yeah, it was. And at the time, my husband, he's a worker. Like, he works in an engineering firm. He's retired now, but he didn't have time to do that. Mark would come home and he's like, what are you guys doing? You're jamming? And then pretty soon he'd come down there and he'd participate. Eventually, he started coming in and hanging with us, and like he likes to sing. So
I think I could maybe, if you get a place for some maracas or some tambourines, I could maybe be the tambourine guy.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. I could totally see you, Tim.
All right, you have, actually, let's back up for a second. You talked about music. That is the cornerstone of the Broken to Brave because of the band plays a significant part in that. You want to touch on that quick?
That we play is uplifting, inspirational music. Half of it is original music from Shekinah King. She's another one that's been there since the beginning. The band consists of a lead singer, our female singer, Shekinah King, my husband, Mark Kane. He's our male singer. And then we have two lead guitarists, Steve Malin and Matt Brooks. Joe Iaquinto is our bass guitarist. And then Kerri Kane. I'm the band manager and backup vocalist and tambourinist.
Oh, you got the tambourine. I put you on the spot a little bit. You got it out. You have a family of your own, and those of you that can see, this is a great setup. I might have to do this for myself, except in the background would be Buck and Honey's and Tommy Anderson's picture. Tell us about him.
Okay, so the big guy in the picture is my husband. That's Mark. Our girls, starting from the oldest, Brittany, and she's a short girl in the picture. That's Brittany, our oldest, and then Megan is the second oldest, and then our twin boys, Peyton and Riley. They're the ones that are close to mom and dad. Riley has the blonde hair. Peyton has a little darker hair like his dad. So, and then my son-in-law, Ryan Ketter, which you know him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and he's amazing.
Little kid from the neighborhood.
Yes, and our son-in-law actually is not in this. Our new son-in-law is of August this past year, Connor, and he married Megan. And so I can't wait to update this picture. So we'll have him in the next one, of course.
Yeah, and when we come back and talk about those layers to Kerri Kane, we'll have that new picture up, hopefully.
That's right.
All right. What was it like leading up to the first year of let's go Broken to Brave? What was it like that first year? Was there some apprehension? You already just talked about anxiety. I'm going to probably say that there was a little bit there.
Well, the biggest thing you can't get back is time, right? When you're busy running a business and you're doing a volunteer thing, I think it's the lack of time and trying to fit everything in. But I am a faith-based person, and you realize that when there's something that comes your way that you feel like is a divine thing, you can't say no, right? You can't say no to that. And when doors open, you can't explain what and why and how and all of those things. You just know it's good. You're like, okay, well, I got to keep going at this because things just kept coming in our direction. People kept falling literally out of the sky, just like the band members and some of the board members. And I do have to mention those names at some point because I'll feel bad if I don't.
Okay, yeah, there'll probably be plenty of time. Maybe we can write them down so you make sure you don't forget them. But no, that first year is always some apprehension. And then you're probably finding out now that after a year, 2, 3, 4, it kind of runs itself now, but you're always maybe looking to tweak here and there, improve on things, delete things. We'll talk about your primetime guest speaker, I would have to say, too. So we'll talk about that. What were some of the struggles you faced? Because doing something that means so much to our community and then the work that you're doing doesn't come without struggles. Were there any struggles?
Yeah, I think just getting the right people to be on the team. I go by the 3 C's. Chemistry is 1 C, character, and then competency. Developing a team of those people, it's not the easiest to find chemistry with, you have to have the right chemistry. You got to have the right person that has character. They have a good reason to be a part of something like that you're starting, and they got to have a why.
And probably same mindset. as you, and get everybody going in the same direction, doing their parts, and we bring it all together sometime in mid-February is what you're going to be doing in a couple of weeks. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about the details with the Broken to Brave project coming from the Wanakee Project Brave group.
Yeah.
We have to get moving with our promo link. Buck and Honeys has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 podcast since the very beginning, with 4 locations in the Madison area. One is always near. People ask, why Buck and Honeys? Owner Tom Anderson is a friend of mine. Places a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He has a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but Buck and Honeys does. So in 2020, you had your first Broken to Brave event. There were many ups and downs at a company putting together such a big event. So in segment 2, you were going to talk us through what it was like for your family, because they probably played a little bit of a role, and what it was like for Kerri, Kane to survive and thrive those first few years of those events that you've been doing. Please stay tuned. Don't change that dial. You don't want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We'll be right back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365, and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words. I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim DeCora. The podcast is where I feature guests who share their story in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. In 2021, you have your first Wanakee Project Broken to Brave event. And that's why we're on the show. That's why you're on the show today, to promote the Broken to Brave event, but also to give a sneak peek into some of the stuff that you do with Wanakee Project Brave. We talked about some of the downs of that first event. What were some of the ups?
I would say the ups were, because COVID was we were in the thick of it, right? We were just getting done, kind of like recuperating from that. And people wanted to have.
I think I'm still recovering.
I know, me too. And gathering, right? Look at behind us. It says "Better Together." I'm sure you can see that. But a friend of mine bought that for me. Actually, she made it. And during COVID, during our first event, it was like, how can we all be better together? Instead of being so isolated. I would say that was the up, coming together as a community, being better together, being real. And the BRAVE acronym is being real affects the value of everyone. And then having something for everyone. Having the music, which is uplifting, and then having people come and share, because that's part of their healing. And then offering, resources for people that, hey, not everybody wants to get up on a stage and talk about their problems. Not everybody wants to join a band, but they can come and they can learn. And what do they say? You don't know what you don't know. And resources are out there. That's what they do for a living. And they're there for us. They don't do it. It's not just a job for them. Most people that are in resources and counseling therapy, they do it because they know they're making a difference.
And I know, just like, I don't know if they're like me or not, but the reason I do it is it's therapy. When I get to talk about some of the things that I've gone through, and then when I get to say, hey, this is what worked for me, these are my experiences, these are my coping skills, it reinforces what I'm doing. And then probably third or fourth down the line, I feel like I feel good about helping people. So yeah, that for me is in there as well.
I would say it's very contagious. Even though the fears are there, it's like, what am I doing? Why is something telling me I have to do something like an event like Broken and Brave, right? Like you get, for me, that was, something that I shared, I thought was a divine thing, but then it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even like to publicly speak. What am I thinking?
As we approach Sunday, February 16th, make sure you listeners that are interested in the Broken to Brave event, and we're going to talk about when, where, and what's going on. What are some of the things you are doing to put together this event? It's probably final touches. We're filming this on January 30th, and we're about a little over 2.5 weeks away. What are some of the final touches you're doing?
Sure. Part of the program, which I know you know, Tim, because you were there last year.
Yes, I was.
We have a Brave Walk. So we are finalizing the list of Brave Walk participants. And because it is a new place this year, we want to make sure that that's done right. And the person that's leading it, we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. It's an emotional event. It's an emotional, this walk, because you're coming up and you're sharing your struggle publicly. And then, I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin it for those that haven't been there, but it's just really powerful because when we do share things, those in the room that are attending, they're like, wow, that person struggles with something that I struggle with.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
And that's a good thing when people who go to this event think that I'm the only one going through what I'm going through, and all of a sudden you have people get up there and present and talk and sit across from somebody at a table that is walking in the same journey you are, and making sure we let other people know that if they're struggling, there are others out there and there's help.
And you asked the question of what are we, it's coming down to the wire, what are we doing? Well, I don't do obviously everything myself. We have a board of, a whole board of us that has tasks, so it makes, what do they say? Many hands make light work. And the heart and soul of the Project Brave is the board. They do a lot of work. Lori Gerner, Mandy Haig, Brittany Ketter, Scott Mooney, Roger Williams. Oh my gosh. Candace Duffick, she's new this year. And I'm pretty sure I got everybody on there. My husband is our sound engineer, Mark Kane. But everyone has a task, and this is our 4th year. And we've realized having a team of people that you mentioned that, they're on this journey because they want to be on this journey. And so everybody has a why. And so it's just been a really awesome experience watching other people be excited and having those folks come together, finding those people that are on a mission.
I've heard somebody say, find your why. And I think you found your why on just giving back and recognizing people for being brave, knowing that it's going to help them in the long run. And then it's also going to help other people to be brave and talk about their own situation. Because when you talk about your own troubles and how you got through, there are going to be people there that are going to be coming to help you along with you and walk this journey with you. That is amazing.
Thank you.
You have a guest speaker this year from the Madison, Wisconsin affiliate WISC TV3. Sarah Carlson is going to be on, and she's back on Channel 3 News just recently. What is she going to talk about?
Well, she actually was a newscast gal way back in the day. I think it was 10 years ago, and she's going to be sharing her experience when she developed epilepsy. And she, this journey was a lot of heartache. She realized who the people were in her life that she could rely on. She'll talk about that. She'll talk about how she overcame, and also just more about the actual condition itself of epilepsy and how, there's an organization out there, and the Epilepsy Foundation. She was actually the executive director there, one of the directors, and So she'll be sharing about her time spent there and all the things that she learned on her journey. And then it's just crazy to me how she ended back, 10 years later, doing, everybody has to take their map. I think of a map, and it's like you're taking these little pit stops. Things happen for a reason. And now she's coming back, and she's bigger, stronger, wiser. And, what did we talk about earlier about turning around and helping the next person in line? Mm-hmm. That's what we're called to do, and it's contagious. So she's, in my book, a hero.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking about Sarah Carlson and her journey, and it was hard work, what she had to do and go through. But I was going to say she survived and thrived. So might have to get her on. Shout out to Sarah Carlson if she didn't get on the podcast someday. But I had the opportunity to be featured, one of the featured guests in 2024 with Annette Krushek. I wanted to, again, thank you for the opportunity to share my story. And I'm sure you get positive feedback every year, and it's probably going up and up and up. I want to tell you how much of the feedback I got immediately after that, and then at the grocery store, at school, at the Quick Trip, wherever I was in that community. Some people that attended really appreciated me sharing their story, and kind of the same thing we've talked about. I thought I was the only one going through anxiety. I thought I was the only one that grew up in an alcoholic family, and you've changed my outlook on myself, and maybe I should share my story. It's kind of you're giving people the platform to do that, and I'm doing that with the podcast now, but it all started somewhere, and some of your stuff that you're doing with the Broken and Brave event, I kind of do with the podcast. Give people a platform. Again, I'm thankful for that. Who are this year's featured guests, or is that a game day secret?
Well, we're not advertising it, but I can tell you this. We are going to be having 2 panels. The title of the one panel is The High-Profile Women Making a Difference. And so they're business women in the community that are making a difference. And I'm really excited to hear from them and their secrets and their tidbits that they can share with us. Because that's how we learn, right? The other one is we're going to have some resources, a panel, individuals that are going to be having a resource table there that day that are going to come and share a little bit as well.
Okay, I like it. That panel kind of sort of discussion is a little bit different than maybe, for sure, last year, because it was just 2 people. I'm actually looking forward to that because I'm having a panel discussion in April to talk about substances on the adolescent brain. So I'm going to be really interested in seeing how you guys run that, because I'm going to be borrowing some things from you for that. I love
it. That's what we're to do, right? We're all in this together.
Where is this year's event? Time, location, tell the listeners where we can find Broken to Brave.
Right outside of Wanakee, there's a cute little community. It's called Roxbury. Technically, it's a SOC address, but at the Dorff House. And that afternoon, so February 16th, 2 to 4 p.m. at the Dorff House in Roxbury, Wisconsin. Can I just say one more thing about that venue? I'm going to be a hot mess that day, I have a feeling, because our oldest daughter got married in that venue.
Oh, nice.
I, for the first time, met my second oldest daughter's now husband. And something's going to be happening that day on the 16th. Can't really talk about it. That we'll meet for the first time. So it's just like, oh my gosh, like all these things are happening at the Dorff House. It is just like...
You should be there. Those of you that are listening now contemplating what to do on February 16th, somewhere between, I know where it's at, but somewhere between Wanakee and Sauk City, Prairie du Sac, is the little town of Roxbury. So it'll be a night at the Roxbury, or afternoon. Is there food and drink available? What else goes on besides the program?
Yeah, so we'll have beverages, just light appetizers and beverages. So there'll be water, coffee, and possibly lemonade, I think. So just light appetizers. So make sure you eat lunch before you come. But of course, if you don't, there'll be something there to fill your belly.
Yeah, it's right in that soft spot of right after lunch, before dinner. So it's a good time to pull that off. Besides the program then, we talked about maybe some tables set up with some of your resource people?
Yep, yeah. So I don't have the list in front of me, but I know Rogers Behavioral Health, they're going to be there. They're one of our sponsors this year, along with Buck and Honeys. And I should probably put a shout out to the rest of the sponsors. Do we have time for that?
Let her rip. Let her rip.
So One Community Bank, thank you so much. Wanakee, One Community Bank. And then we also have Realty Executives, Cooper Spransey. We have the Rotary in Wanakee. That was awesome. That was a nice little surprise. Dan Piazza with the Dan Piazza Agency, American Family. Boy, there's so many others, like in-kind donations, that I don't have the list in front of me. If I forgot someone, I'm so sorry, but we'll make sure that we have it on we'll have it
billboard
displayed the day of. Keep talking, because then I'll think about all the other ones while we're talking.
Yes. Where can people find out more about the event? Website, and then this is a free event, by the way, so you don't need a ticket. Well, you do need a ticket, but it's just nice to keep track of the head count and who's all coming, so that you can make sure you have enough water and lemonade and etc. Seating as well. Who can attend? Website?
Okay, so anyone that is 16 and older that's interested in being inspired and learning about mental health and communicating with resource folks there. People last year and the previous years, most folks are coming because they're supporting someone. Sometimes, when you're hurting and, you don't want to get out of the house, but I encourage you, if you are struggling, showing up to something, just a matter of walking in, and maybe you don't talk to someone, but if you come and you feel compelled to, just show up, because that's like the first step, right? Just showing up.
It is. Take that first step. Sometimes it is the hardest one, but you don't necessarily, if you come to the event, we're not going to pull you out of the stands and make you do something, but you can get a taste of what other people had to struggle through and survive, and then how they came out in the end to be, I'm sure there's a little selection process to be featured, but then how these people are thriving and telling their story. It's not just something that you can do and you're fixed. It is a little bit of a journey, and you're certainly helping people understand that. Who should attend? I know we talked about, family members, but is there any other people that you want to try to focus on, or a certain group?
Yes. I don't know if you knew this or not, but there's going to be in the program a moment where we recognize our first responders. And I'm really excited about this, because I can't share too much, but it's going to be powerful. And we're really excited. And so right now we do have some Madison, Dane County first responders coming, and some Sauk responders coming. And we have some Wanakee police officers coming. So I'm just really excited about that.
Good, and we'll open up that present on February 16th and see what's inside, and it sounds like a great event. Besides the Broken to Brave event, which is why we're here kind of today, to talk mainly about that, to promote that event. But I also want to have you talk about the Wanakee Project Brave. What are some of the events that you guys do throughout the course of the year that people in Wanakee can get involved in if they want to?
We have 2 Monday groups twice a month, the first Monday and the third Monday. The first Monday is a community brave, where we go in and we speak to someone in the community, and we usually do it at their place of business. For instance, we had a police officer. We went into the police department, and it's a small group. We top it at 25. And then that's more that person shares their story, and the public is there to support them and encourage them, right? And they invite their family members. It's just a really cool way to engage, and to be brave. I mean, it's just amazing. I just love this whole thing. And then the other one is the third Monday is in the back at M&M's, where we have anyone can come and we pick a topic, and we talk about Like for January, we talked about new beginnings, and sometimes it's exciting for a little while, like I'm working out and, have all these New Year's resolutions, and then how do you sustain those over the year? But we also talk about a lot of, we talk about depression, anxiety, family issues, you name it. And typically we do have about anywhere between 10 and 20 people come to that as well.
You bring up a great word there that I just heard at the end, sustainability. It's one thing to start and take that first step. And I was just thinking to myself, I had to take that first step of I need help, and then go and find somebody and get that help. And then now for the last 1,140 days, I've had to sustain the work that I've been doing and doing more work and keeping my program of mental health and well-being strong. And part of that is kind of what you're doing, sharing, educating other people. So I'm taking what I've learned, and you're taking what you learned, and the guests and people that are going to be presenting are taking what they're learning and sharing that because somebody else had to share that with them. I mean, what you're doing is just amazing with the Wanakee Project Brave in our community of Wanakee, and then also the Broken to Brave and honoring people one time a year. Maybe you can start doing this twice a year because it's just a great event. But hey, this is the point where if you've already been taking notes and you've got a pen or pencil out, if you don't, you want to take it out. So here are 5 suggestions to thrive, and we always end with each Survive and Thrive 8791 podcast with 5 suggestions to thrive. And we're going to frame this one by putting together a mental health event such as Broken to Brave. And if somebody wants to do this in their own community, we're going to shout from the mountaintops, yes, do it, because we need more people like Kerri, Kane, and the rest of her Project Brave crew that are doing this stuff in just our own little community, and it's spreading out. Here are your 5 things, and I'm going to toss them in softball style,
all right,
underhand. And I'm going to tell you to go ahead and hit that. And we're going to look at about maybe 90 seconds on each one.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first one is seek God's will. Go ahead and hit that.
Okay. So if you feel like there's something in you that is brewing, some people call it, just their intuition. Some people call it Holy Spirit, whatever they call that. Like I obviously, because I'm very spiritual, I'm a God follower. So I say, I seek God's will in anything I do. I usually pray about it. And then if I get a clear yes, I move forward. If it's a no or a maybe, obviously I'm not doing it. And then that's kind of with, it goes into number 2, is if it's a divine thing.
Number
right?
2. Is this Kerri Kane show, or is it Tim to coach the chorus?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So number 2 is it a divine thing?
So I would say ask yourself that question, is this something that is my purpose? Is this a calling on me? Does it fit for, like with Project Brave for me, asking myself, okay, Kerri, is this something that you're trying to do and it really isn't a good fit for you? Or is it something that's bigger than you, that is pulling you and you can't stop it even if you tried? That's what I'm talking about with the divine thing.
I'm going to be interested in seeing where this goes for you in the next, let's just say 5 to 10 years, because you're hopefully going to be able to share with me someday that, remember when I was talking on January 2025 about that divine thing and I didn't know? I know now. And hopefully the podcast, Survive and Thrive 8791, will be right there behind you. And then, because I don't know my true calling yet. I've always heard the voice for other people that don't have a voice. That's one thing I've heard. I've also heard that, you just keep doing the work. And what you're doing is educating people about your own situation and their own situation. But I just don't know yet. So I'm just going to keep plodding forward because the feedback I'm getting, and I'm sure the feedback you're getting, is off the charts positive. Is it your calling purpose? Number 3.
Okay, so I have to just mention this. So there was a point in my life where I was listening to everyone else's voice, and I went into, I got into a profession, which is a great profession, but it wasn't for me. I would say, really, if it's your calling, that is personal to you. Nobody else can convince you to do something if it's not a true calling or purpose. And the only way you're going to know is by taking time away from distractions and the busyness of life.
And you already alluded to number 4, but maybe you can hit this again. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals.
Yes. There's a book out there. Jenny, oh boy, I'm trying to remember. I apologize, but it's called Finding Your People. I read this book, it's a couple years ago, but it was life-changing. Once you find your tribe, whoever believes in you, they're going to cheer you on. When you don't believe it in yourself, they're going to help carry you along, right? That's kind of where the faith thing comes in too. But as far as like-minded individuals, you're going to go so much further.
So again, because I'm slowing down in life now and I don't move as fast as I used to, something popped into my head about the tribe. You're bringing people to your Broken and Brave event, and then you're doing the 2 times a month talks where you bring in somebody to talk about their own journey. Once people find other people who have gone the path that they want to try to find with their mental health or with their substance use, you start walking with people and hand in hand, fighting their addictions, their demons. When they find that they're not alone and they start walking with some people that have been down that path before, that's how they really start to focus on their well-being and helping themselves. But for me, for about close to 50 years, I was walking that path alone until I started finding people that suffered from anxiety. And some of the things I went through as a youngster, I realized that, hey, I can start asking questions and I can go to these certain people because they've grown up just like me. So that's why I think this event is huge, because you're putting people out there and you're putting their stories out there as well. Number 5, get right folks on your bus and right seats. Did I say that the right way?
I probably wrote it incorrectly, but get the right folks on your bus and in the right seats.
And in the right seats. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So picture yourself, your life, right? There's this bus. You're on a journey and you are traveling the world, but you only have 15 spots. Are you gonna you could quality, what is it? What do they say? Quality over quantity. It's kind of the same thing. And remember we talked about the 3 C's, the people that are going to be on my bus. And then once I pick up my friend and put him on the bus, what is your calling? What's your purpose? How can I best help you to find your calling and your purpose?
Amazing.
Yeah. Can we elaborate on that just for 20 seconds? Okay. I don't know. Something's prompting me to share this.
Absolutely.
I am a sports mama. I love sports.
I'll agree with that.
Okay. So when we came to Wanakee, those 2 boys, I'm like, oh, they're going to play football. They're going to do so well and they're going to get scholarships. Well, that's me talking, right? Well, sophomore year came around and one of my twins, he's like, Mom, I really want to pursue music. And I was like, oh, what is this? And then he wanted to do theater. I don't know a lot about it. Now I do because he chose that path. But the first time I got to see him in action, I bawled because I was almost the mom. I was the mom. I was like, we've worked so hard at this. Let's stay on that path. And so I felt very convicted. And, as a mom, you just want the best thing for your kids. And so sometimes we don't know what's best.
And they do sometimes. And it's a good thing that maybe they learned that from somebody very close to them. Maybe you've role modeled it, that, you know what, I'm going to do exactly what Mom has been role modeling. I'm going to do what's best for me. What an episode. I'm so glad you came on the show.
Thank you.
And we could publicize the work you are doing and Wanakee Project Brave are doing. Your story and strength to plan, prepare and organize a mental health event with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew is it's an inspiration. And now you might inspire others to organize events in their own little communities, just like Wanakee, Project Brave, and the Broken to Brave event. Our call to action. Kerri Kane just shared some knowledge and experience that our listeners can learn from. These 5 things can help you or someone you know be a beacon of hope and an understanding in the community. You tirelessly are organizing events that break the silence and stigma, enveloping mental health and substance abuse. I stole that from your website. Here are the 5 suggestions that Kerri shared with us. Number 1, seek God's will. Number 2, is it a divine thing? Number 3, is it your calling, purpose? Number 4, surround yourself with like-minded individuals. And number 5, get right folks on your bus in the correct or right seats. As we close with another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, are there any final thoughts, Kerri?
Yeah, I mean, if you're struggling right now and you're, like me, a mom, you have a large family, and you're going through some hard times with your teens, or maybe even in your family, in your marriage or whatever, that's normal. Like, we're going to have times like that. And I just urge you to hang in there, get the right people, get counsel from the right people and the right mentors.
Broken to Brave, Dorf House Supper Club, Sunday, February 16th, 2 to 4 p.m. Be there. Bring a neighbor, bring a sibling, bring anybody from your neighborhood that might need something like this. Maybe you know somebody who is struggling. Maybe you yourself are struggling and need that, get that little kick. There's going to be resources there. There's going to be other people there sharing their stories. You are not alone. There's somebody out there that is just like you, that is struggling, that has learned to survive and thrive. So again, Kerri Kane, thank you. Good luck to your event. I hope it is more successful than last year. On our next episode, we will have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios who will share how they survived and thrived. If you have a story to share or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecora@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through, and with hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.